another Al Pacino movie. Hey, I'm Amy and welcome back. Today I am checking The Godfather Part 2 off of the 1001 movie checklist. If you don't know what the 1001 movie checklist or 1001 movie challenge is, it is basically a challenge I give myself to watch every single movie from the 1001 movies you must see before you die book. So far I've checked off 152 movies. If you want to know more or anything else about this, you can watch the playlist up there that kind of explains it all and has every single movie I have watched so far. Also, I am very happy to announce that I am now an Amazon affiliate, so if you would like to start the challenge for yourself, watch the movie that I talk about today, or get ready for the movie that I'm going to be talking about next time, there are links in the description that you can click that will take you to Amazon. And if you purchase anything there, I'll get a little bit of a kickback, which helps make the show even better. As always, let's get started with a short summary of the movie. The Godfather Part 2 is a seamless blend of a young Vito Corleone coming to America, making his way in the new country and building up the family, along with present-day Michael coming into his own as the new Don, expanding the family and denying the past.
The witnesses testified that you are personally responsible for the murder of a New York City police captain in 1947. And with him a man named Virgil Sollozzo. Do you deny this?
Yes, I do.
And now for a couple fun facts about the Godfather trilogy, because as you know, I cannot pass up some great movie trivia, and since part 3 is not on the list, I had to squeeze it in now. Francis Ford Coppola was so nervous about his financial situation after almost being fired from the first film that during the opening of The Godfather, he stayed holed up in his hotel room, writing the screenplay for The Great Gatsby starring Robert Redford and Mia Farrow.
You must know Gatsby.
Oh, he's my neighbor.
Gatsby? What Gatsby?
But rest assured, Paramount gave him an offer he couldn't refuse with full creative control for a sequel to the film after the success of the first one. And Part 2 was the only sequel to ever win a Best Picture Oscar until The Return of the King in 2004.
And the Oscar goes to... It's a clean sweep. The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, Barry M. Osborne, Peter Jackson, and Fran Walsh producers.
And now for the fun part of this. We all know it's going to mostly be a comparison to the first one. So 1 versus 2 and Michael versus Vito. I mean, that's kind of what this whole part 2 is really about. It is very much about Michael versus Vito as the heads of the family. So let's start off with the easy bit, comparing 1 and 2. They are very similar and purposefully similar movies. They are basically almost mirrors of each other. The way Coppola intended was to kind of put some things that happen in the first and mirror what happens in the second. The way he does this is he opens up with Michael as the new Don in the similar way he opened up the first Godfather with the bright white wedding contrasting dark office of Vito and the rest of the mob family. Whereas in part 2, they open it up with the bright ceremony kind of starting off-ish where the last one picked up, or picking up where the last one finished. Instead of being the baptism of Michael's godson, it is the first communion of Michael's actual son, and then a big outdoor celebration for this first communion, interspersed with Michael in his dark office. Having these two similar openings kind of gave you the foreshadowing that the entire film would be very similar to the first in a lot of ways. Something else that Coppola does that a lot of people maybe didn't pick up on is the way he lays breadcrumbs throughout. And I touched on this quite a bit in the last video I did for part 1 of The Godfather, but in part 2 he does the same thing, but he doesn't spread it out over the entire film. He spreads it out over the first half of the film pretty much, and the second half is kind of the fallout of what happens with the first breadcrumbs, interspersed of course with Vito's backstory. But if you just take Michael's story, there's like half of it is the breadcrumbs that are being laid, and then the other half is the fallout of it. So the breadcrumbs that he lays is basically Fredo betraying Michael. Like in the first one, Carlo betrays Sonny, and the way they lay this out is almost more obvious than the way he laid it out in the first one with Carlo. It's kind of hinted at that Michael really doesn't believe that Fredo can do anything. Nobody really believes in Fredo. It's really put upon a lot in the first Godfather film. But in this one, I believe it's actually outright said that Michael doesn't believe that Fredo can really do anything.
Michael says that if you can't take care of this, I have to.
So he sticks him in places that aren't really going to be making any trouble if he screws everything up.
Send Fredo off to do this, send Fredo off to do that. Let Fredo take care of some Mickey Mouse nightclub somewhere.
You can see in some scenes that Fredo is a little brokenhearted about this. He wants more power. He wants to be treated as an equal to the rest of his family. He later tells Michael in a conversation that he was upset that he was passed over as head of the family for Michael, and that's kind of what started this whole ball rolling.
I'm your older brother, Mike, and I was stepped over.
That's the way Pop wanted it.
It ain't the way I wanted it. I can handle things. I'm smart. Not like everybody says. Like dumb, I'm smart, and I want respect.
But also the fact that he doesn't get treated as an equal. The next tiny little breadcrumb that is laid is Fredo getting a call from Jimmy Ola, and it corresponds with the attempted murders of Michael and Frankie. While Michael is in Cuba making his deal with Hyman Roth, he asks Fredo to bring $2 million down there. When Fredo finally gets there, Michael asks him if he knows Jimmy Ola or Roth, and Fredo denies it. And then when they are at a club, Fredo loudly admits that Jimmy Ola told him about this place, and Michael realizes who was the person that really ratted him out.
Johnny Ola told me about this place. He brought me here. I didn't believe it, but seeing is believing, huh?
I see it and I still don't believe it.
$50, Pat. Old man Roth had never come here, but old Johnny knows these places like the back of his hand. Now watch him. He's gonna break the cracker with us.
Break a cracker? I want to see him break a brick. You can knock down a building.
Michael still tries to protect Fredo, but Fredo runs away, afraid that Michael is going to hurt him anyways. Michael ends up excommunicating Fredo, but tells his bodyguards that Fredo still needs to be protected, at least while their mother is still alive. But once their mother is dead, Michael goes ahead and has him killed.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women. Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners.
And what this film does so well is the contrasting of Michael and Vito as the Dons. It makes Vito even more of a sympathetic character while painting Michael as a very power-hungry and suspicious character. I touched on it a little bit in the 1001 Movie Challenge a couple of weeks ago when I talked about The Godfather, but now that you get more backstory on Vito and you get to see Michael taking on his full responsibilities as the new Don, it really gives you a lot more to think about between the two characters. Vito is completely devoted to his family, both blood and mafia, and will do anything and everything to protect and honor them. His unassuming kindness, but the knowledge of what he can and may do to them if they disrespect him, makes everyone afraid but still love him.
Stavo grande, scialamo, pure a me mi piace stare con voi, sapete, perché capisci che voi siete un amico vero con me, ma io stavolta proprio, ma io sto perdendo proprio Vigno. Appena mi chiamate, tu mi chiamate io arrivo qua, non mentivo, stavo che ma ora proprio non dai dire, è tardi.
Michael, on the other hand, does everything for himself and to make the family grow. And a lot of his decisions are based on paranoia or power-hungry thoughts. He tries to have Hyman Roth killed because he knows that Roth is trying to do the same thing to him, or he believes that Roth is trying to do the same thing to him, which, evidenced by Fredo, is what happens. And because of his selfish and paranoid actions, his mafia family grows stronger while his real family starts to fall apart.
It was an abortion. An abortion, Michael. Just like our marriage is an abortion. Something that's unholy and evil. I didn't want your son, Michael. I wouldn't bring another one of your sons into this world.
And just like at the end of the first one, when Michael has the heads of the other families killed, in part 2, he has those that wronged him killed, like Fredo and Roth.
I came home to vote in the presidential election because they wouldn't give me an absentee ballot.
For me, the greatest part of this movie is Robert De Niro's performance as a young Vito Corleone. His role in this came right off of Martin Scorsese's Mean Streets.
Go outside. I'm a little depressed now. Anyway, I want to cut the story short because I know you don't want to hear all this, and I know. But I'm gonna make a long story short. Anyway, I went to Al Kaplan, got a new tie, got the shirt. I like the shirt. It's a nice. It's time, but
hey, Michael doesn't care if you're depressed. What is he, your priest?
Which I absolutely love, and I think it was what helped him get his role in this because Coppola and Scorsese are pretty good friends. The way he portrays Vito is just so powerful, and it completely takes from but also adds to the work that Marlon Brando did in the first Godfather movie. He starts off in a similar trajectory as Michael, kind of innocent. Michael doesn't want to be a part of the Corleone family, but in Vito's backstory, he really knows nothing about the mafia. And when he first meets Fanucci, he's kind of dragged into it by circumstances. And the way De Niro just oozes the soft-spokenness and quietly calculating persona that Marlon Brando has built up around Vito, that is, I feel, where De Niro has pulled from a lot of his acting abilities. There are some scenes that I feel like just are textbook Robert De Niro scenes, like when they are trying to decide what to do with Don Fanucci, taking all their money for the small business that they are created. Robert De Niro as Vito just sits there thinking before speaking. It's so gripping, and it just feels the way Vito feels.
Ragione hai io. Solo 100 scudi.
Sono a cotte di monete. Che vuoi?
Overall, The Godfather Part 2 is a more powerful, more emotional, and darker film than its predecessor. And the way Coppola contrasted Michael and Vito through flashbacks to Vito's past make my film school heart all aflutter. But there's just some kind of magic about the first Godfather film that puts it over the top for me. The clip for this film was not a very hard decision for me. In a very similar sequence to Michael being baptized as the new Don, intercut with the baptism of Michael's godson, Vito uses the cover of a festival to assassinate Don Fanucci in one of the film's most iconic sequences.
Dove vai?
And that is everything for The Godfather Part 2. As always, these are just my opinions, but I would love to know yours in the comments down below. Which Godfather movie is your favorite? I will be watching Godfather Part 3 soon, but I probably will not be doing a video on it since it's not on the list. If you want to know which films I have checked off the list so far, or just follow my progress in general, there's a link to a Google Doc in the description down below with every movie I've checked off so far. After doing 3 super intense Al Pacino movies right in a row, I definitely needed a break with some fun, goofy comedy, so I chose the Eddie Murphy film Beverly Hills Cop. And thank you guys so much for watching. I really truly do appreciate every single one of you. Let me know who you are in the comments down below, and let's be friends. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because I love talking all things movies, TV shows, filmmaking, film history, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye!